So recently on YouTube, I saw a very interesting video. So you guys might have heard about this guy. It's a guy named Veloci. He is like a professional walking simulator player. So one of the things that he brought up is that there is a problem about toxicity, and well, I will be honest, right? I am a bit of an honest person. I can be a bit toxic when I play walking simulators. Although I don't think it's me being toxic on the players, it's more like me being pissy at the game itself. But right, let's see what this video is about, right?
It's time we talk about Path of Titans and one of the biggest problems it has. Its toxicity. Brought forward in a statement by Dr. the 11th's mod team, Divine Beasts, on the 16th of this month, saying this. As many as you know, we have a highly ambitious Titanoboa mod planned. Lately though, I've cooled on the idea. Path of Titans modding can be creatively rewarding, but it's also become a very toxic scene. I've seen too many modders working for free get harshly criticised or humiliated for their work. The kind of behaviour isn't encouraging innovation, it's driving people away. Part of my vision for DB has always been to give creators...
I'm assuming DB is like the name of the mod, right? It's like Divine Beasts, right?
Or halting this vision and making people quit. I also feel like I need to stand up for my fellow modders, big and small. To those who support and encourage modders, whether seasoned or new, I love you. Your positivity is what keeps this community alive, but the negativity on YouTube, Reddit, and even the official Path of Titans Discord is crushing starting creators and stifling growth. Because of this, Titanoboa will be delayed for every instance of unconstructive modder hate I see, towards our team or anyone else. I'll consider extending the delay. Obviously, that statement missed a couple bits in it, but the implications of this were huge. So many mod teams came out with statements from Primordial Tyrants, Feilong's Wrath of the Goliaths, Dinosauria, Exargilla, Absentia, Inventum, and so many more. There's so much we need to talk about. And shout out to
Okay, so one small thing that I'm already realizing here. What do they mean by this? Okay, so because people are upset at the Titanoboa mod, we're gonna be delaying the mod? But if people are already complaining about the mod to begin with, isn't that what they would want? If they wouldn't like the Titanoboa? Maybe it's the criticism about the Titanoboa I'm not understanding. But isn't this kind of what they would want? I don't know. Again, I'm not quite familiar in the drama in terms of the mod itself, because we're here just to talk about negativity in general. But I didn't quite understand the front and back ends. But right, let's go on.
Dinosaurs. We've seen this before. The love-hate relationship with fantasy and non-dinosaurs, players' desires for mods, and a lack of basis for constructive criticism versus pure negativity. Let's start with the love-hate relationship between fantasy creatures and including non-dinosaurs. We've seen this before. Non-dinosaurs often get hounded. Rospaw's Mammoth, Doc J's Creations, the K23 mods, and so many more. Often with the criticism of that they should not be in the game. They're not a dinosaur. This is a dinosaur game. They shouldn't be here. This is heard a lot. The dragons, the cursed dinosaurs, the creations that people have that are not dinosaurs themselves. It's like people are not meant to have fun here. That's the vibe that people get from making mods that aren't dinosaurs. It's not even allowed. A big example here is the Spear Crest and Astra Island made by Blue Suko and the Isle of Myths team. They recently quit Path of Titans modding due to toxicity. And Doc J is another one. Earlier this...
Oh, I know who Doc J is. He's like a Suchomimus VTuber as well. I've seen his works on Twitter.
Announced his retirement from the modding scene due to toxicity, and we have receipts of that toxicity. But even recently, Rospaw, the creator of the Draco Viper, the Dominus, the Griffin, some absolutely insanely good fantasy mods, have quit. The mod's likely to fall into disrepair if no one offers to upkeep them. But let me cycle back to Doc J, someone who recently quit. And from talking to him, we get numerous examples from shitty comments from users just because of his creations. For example, these comments calling his mods knockoffs, making obscene and unfounded accusations, and even calling him the N-word, which I obviously can't show you, but other racist stuff to do with Doc J himself. But even then, In public forums, in public Discord servers, people called for his death, to kill any and every one of his creations and target people who liked his stuff. That isn't constructive criticism. That is hatred. Just
like, first things first, right? Dude, like, if you're gonna send death threats, like, this is the hill you're dying on? Like, for a fucking walking simulator, guys? Like, of all the people to send death threats to, it's to people who work on, like, mods for the walking sims. The most boring genre of dinosaur games. These people are here to make the boring genre at least a slightly bit more entertaining. And, like, you're crushing down on those people? Like, come on, guys. Like, maybe for, like, not saying that death threats is a good thing, right? Of course, it's always a bad thing, right? But for this, like, this is the hill you choose to die on for walking sims? Not Ark or, like, I don't know, Primal Carnage or any, like, dinosaur game that actually has nutritional value? You choose to die on this? This is the hill? Here's the thing with fantasy dinosaur mods, right? To an extent, I can understand the hate, right? Because, we have to view Path of Titans mods a lot differently from other video game mods. Like, for example, like, let's talk about, what's another very famous game that I play? Skyrim. Skyrim is a very famous game, right? I play Skyrim with dinosaur mods. Of course, some people are out there, I'm assuming that dislike Skyrim's dinosaur mods. Because, well, I'm not quite sure on the lore, but I'm pretty sure Skyrim doesn't have dinosaurs in the lore. So if they see a dinosaur in Skyrim, they know it doesn't fit the lore. I'm a person who doesn't give a shit about the lore, I only care about the dinosaurs. So for people like me, I'm fine with putting dinosaurs in, right? And most of the time, me and the other person, we can coexist, right? When it comes to games like Path of Titans, we can't, to an extent, coexist, right? Because if one side hates Glupshitosauruses and DeviantArt creations, and the other one likes them, there's gonna be a bit of an uproar, because if one server decides to add them in, and the other side is gonna be upset, this isn't like RimWorld, or this isn't like, Skyrim, where you can have dinosaur mods, or like, in this case, like, anything else that doesn't exactly tie in with the actual game, and, like, just expect people to roll with it, right? It's understandable why people dislike it, because it's not something they can like actively choose to avoid. Like, if another Ark developer makes this really overpowered dinosaur, for example, like, let's just say, for example, there's this weird T-Rex that it just exists, that has like 10 billion pieces of armor that you have to assemble, each of them giving an armor value, making it really overpowered, and if you basically tame it by sticking mushrooms up his ass, right? It's a ridiculous statement, but let's just say it does, right? It's like the kind of creature that I absolutely hate, because it's like, it has a billion abilities, it's like a basically glorified Pasotame, it spawns fucking everywhere. Let's just say everything of that is like true, right? It's a creature that I hate, like, in theory, right? I can choose not to do it, because I can just choose to not install the mod. And I can choose to not just play Ark in single player without the mod. But here's the thing! The developers in Path of Titans made it so that the single player experience of this game is miserable. So you have to join a server, but you can't join if you dislike these Glupshitosauruses. You have to avoid servers that have them. But, like, okay, so because that's one thing that I've noticed myself when playing, trying to play these, Path of Titans-esque games, because, like, I'm not even that stingy when it comes to, servers, right? The only, I don't even care if the servers are using, like, random other dinosaur species mods, right? I don't care if my gameplay isn't pure vanilla. When I'm looking for servers, the only thing I'm asking for is, no 10 plus pages of rules, no, fantasy bullshit. Again, I appreciate what the developers do, right? I know this game is boring as shit, so you're trying your very best to make it slightly less boring, and let's be honest here. The creatures look beautiful. It's just that I just don't want to see them when I'm playing the game, right? Like, I'm fine with them on DeviantArt. I'm fine with them looking at it on Twitter as an art form of artwork. It's just that I just don't want to interact with them. And I think that's, like, I think I shouldn't be criticized for that. So, like, no fantasy bullshit, no, like, 10 plus pages of rules, passive growth. Those 3 things are, like, the only things that I'm looking for in a server. Oh yeah, also, the server has a decent population, because, yes, once again, this game is unplayable with like, 20 players on a server, right? You need at least, like, 100 if you want to actually meet someone. So, like, those 4 conditions, believe it or not, it's so hard to find a server that matches those 4 conditions. Like, every single one. If a server has, like, 3 of them, they have these weird-ass creatures. If a server has, like, has passive growth, has, like, everything that I'm looking for, it has, like, 300 pages of rules that you need to go through. Right? Like, it's impossible to find a server. I'm not even that picky, right? I feel like what I'm asking here is like the bare minimum, right? Passive growth. I'm even fine with overpowered modded dinosaurs. So like I'm feel like I'm very like generous when it comes to my server tastes. Yet, but if I struggle with finding a server, imagine how hard it is going to be for like the average Path of Titans player who actually spends hours playing the game. So like I can find it frustrating because I'm pretty sure like there will be people there who choose to play on servers that have these glupshitosauruses, not because they like them, but because, like, the rest of the conditions is, like, what makes the server bearable, right? So, you're kind of forced to join with these creatures. So, every time when the modder decides to make a new creature, another DeviantArt creation to add to the pile of, like, non-dinosaur bullshit, they just get upset. Like, I can understand, because, like, what do you mean? Oh, yeah, I'm already struggling, like, I just want to survive as a dinosaur. And I have to, like, see, like, a freaking, like, someone's, like, persona fly over me, right? I feel like, yes, people shouldn't be, like, put under that torture. So you might be saying, just play official. But official, for some reason, the developers insist on using this weird ass like quest to growth system where they have like 0 passive growth because they think like questing makes the game fun. But I'm sorry to say this, developers, but picking berries for 60 hours to grow your dinosaur to adult is not fun. Well, they did say they changed the quest, so I don't know how much they changed it. We'll have to go take a look. But from what I've seen on Twitter, spoilers alert, I don't think they changed the quests to make like they added more quests. But the quests in themselves don't have, like, aren't any more, like, nutritional. They don't have much nutritional value compared to the quests that we already have. So, but yes, right, let's keep watching.
None of their stuff, because they weren't dinosaurs. And what's worse, in the server that was in, it was fine. In fact, there's common nature where people in communities would bash these mods because the creator of those communities often did as well. But then there's the mod creature or player desired effect. Now this was also drafted by Blood of a Draco as a good core topic for this subject, and the one before as well. He's a very talented modder who's helped massively with this. This comes from a general desire that people have to have something in the game, or wish a specific creature to be made, and in the way that they specifically want it. They want it specifically their way, pretty much. In a way, it gets personal. And in a general way, we get this with, we already have enough of this in the game. Would be cool if we got something else instead. Which, while not bad, it definitely can come across passive-aggressively. And if I'm honest, yes, I've been to blame for this before. Because I said a Ceratosaurus could have been cool if it was called Geniodectes. And that, looking back on it, probably not a good thing.
Why not? Why? Because if there's another Ceratosaurus mod, why don't you rename it to Geniodectes? That's a perfectly fine statement to make. Like, we don't even have as much fossils from Geniodectes that differentiates it from Ceratosaurus to a large extent, right? As far as I'm aware. Like, why not? Like, heck, I mean, didn't the official developers do that for Ecrixinatosaurus? When it's supposed to be just literally, it's just a Carnivores, but they just changed the name to make it more unique? How is that a bad thing?
Then there's the line between constructive criticism and negativity / toxicity. This is a line that gets blurred often, especially nowadays, when people often just go, oh, I don't like this, and then they think that's constructive, but it's not. Modders aren't expecting compliments. This isn't a video or a movement to say, hey, love us more. Don't misconstrue it. But more so, criticism should be constructive, because it bases a foundation to grow on. Modders don't mind feedback. It's important, but there's ways to do it. Common examples for non-constructive criticism include these. I don't like the way the animation moves, it sucks. This looks ugly compared to this mod. This mod should be deleted, it is a waste of time, we already have a creature like this. Instead, it can be turned into something following a topic of focus, a reason, or a solution or alternative. Explaining these things is a good...
I'm pretty sure everybody knows how to give constructive feedback. They just choose not to. What are we, kindergartners?
And shouldn't be something to take offense because it didn't change. Because sometimes it's a matter of perspective. The modder might have a different idea for the mod, and that's okay. Community members are not entitled to force a modder to change something that they are making for free or putting hours and months of effort into their spare time to make this, especially for projects like most modders, which take funds out of their own back pocket to eventually share with the player base for free. There's even an example in regards to the Griffin getting changes back in September of last year. The Griffin got stat changes and some users requested they be reverted.
I believe it or not, I actually heard about this.
Calling the mod flying butt plugs, and then a user joined the VC to call them various slurs and death threats. Before
even I've heard about this. I think I heard it in like a comment from like a Path of Titans video, if I remember correctly.
I got
which is crazy because I don't give a shit about like fantasy bullshit mods.
Which was broken down by Phelan.
Like even if I know that, well, yeah.
It could also vary depending on the person, because everyone has different time availability in their life, but also different skill sets. They basically said about the hours putting into mods. Realistically, you're looking at something that's exceeding over 100 hours to make the assets for the mod alone. The skins, 36 hours. The model, 5 hours. Sculpting, 20
Of course, mods take a long time to make. Everyone puts hard work into them. I don't think anybody is saying that that's not what they're doing here.
Hours. Abilities take about 4 hours. Icons could take an hour. But you have to bear in mind there's also the financial cost of this as well. Not every modder knows how to make icons, animations, sounds, code, abilities. Sometimes they need to outsource work that could cost them. Imagine putting loads of hours, hundreds of hours into something for it to be shot down. Now, I did get a lot of modders reaching out, and for them, shout out to you. I've tried to make these anonymous, as otherwise they may get targeted. Those who are comfortable with their names being shared will be included in the video. So the first one is a mod animator who's worked for various teams, Wrath of the Goliaths, PT, Absentia, Dinosauria, saying in their statement they've met people who criticise their work the form of insulting, degrading and outright bullying. It's gotten to the point where many creators are often becoming reluctant to share teasers. And that's very true. There is a dry spell of mod teasers, and it's often because of fear that they'll be harshly torn apart. They also went on to say that they've developed a toxic voice in the back of their mind, telling them that someone will always find a problem with how I pose something in an animation or how I imagine the creature to move, and that I'm wrong for thinking the way I do. It's honestly shameful how entitled this community has become toward modders.
I'm gonna be honest, this isn't just like a Path of Titans issue. This is more of like an issue with dinosaurs as a whole. Because, well, it's just true, but we don't have a lot of fossils about dinosaurs. So, like, we don't know, like, about the muscle structure for most of them. So, like, I think it's perfectly valid for a person to a certain extent to think that one dinosaur moved this way, whereas the other one says that the same dinosaur moved in a different way. For example, like the things I can think of in my head is like Triceratops is like front limbs, right? Some people say it's more like sprawl. Some people say it's more straight, right? Like that's what I'm saying.
Who voluntarily take time out of their life to create free content, and I think that mindset needs to change for everyone's sake. The mod developer too was an ex-Divine Beast developer, saying that their main problem was the community's attitude towards DB is that it's often laced with meaningless hate, and in their eyes any flaws our modders have indicate we are lazy as creators and deserve to feel bad about what we've made. This in turn is a hurdle for a lot of our newer modders who are simply happy to be a part of something, only to be met with comments like this on update or showcase posts of our work. Giving various examples here because they have featured constant digs, not just at the work.
Jesus, they're getting a lot of hate.
Plate was something people took the piss out of, saying they loved
What the hell did they do?
Mod team.
On DB's the person who made like the Dinosaurs mod? They didn't look that bad, right?
They won't play anything from that mod team for an example, and painting that the mod is bad just because it's the in thing and everyone else is doing it. They added that Divine Beast, and this is something you'll hear from Dr. the 11th interview in a moment, is something that is well...
Jesus Christ, they got so much hate! At this point, like, what the hell did they do?
The mods aren't meant to be perfect because they are patchwork projects, all made by various people with various different talents and skills, from pros to newcomers.
And I think once again, this is the same issue that I can attribute to the game itself, right? I don't, like... Of course, if you send death threats, like, to these developers, like, of course, like, that's a terrible thing, don't do that. But once again, I think the main, like, the root of the problem here, the reason why a lot of people are so upset at, like, seeing a more amateurish mod, is because they're forced to see it regardless of whether they want it or not, right? If a server decides to put it in, even if you dislike it, you can't really do anything about it unless you just totally rally against the developer of the server and go like, we want this creature gone, right? And to an extent, even that could be considered negativity to the people who make the mod. So, like, because the way this game is like the way walking simulators in general work, right? Since, the one common thing that most walking simulators have is that, like, official servers, bullshit, right? Nobody likes them. Like, the map is fucking huge. The developers never know when enough is enough. The server can only support up to, like, a handful of people compared to, like, how big the mod is, the world is. So, like, every creature is, like, so far apart. So, it takes, like, maybe up to hours to find another person. So, all of that kind of forces people to group up into servers that have a lot of people. And if the person that decides to add another lower quality dinosaur, everyone kind of has to, like, live with it if the leader of the server decides to put it in, right? And, well, I highly doubt that whoever is playing on the server wants to get flagged from the developer who's making the server. I keep saying developer, but, like, the owner of the server. Because I've heard so many tales about, like, community server managers being really, like, power hungry. I mean, heck, I've experienced that myself. So, like, these developers, the community managers, there's a lot of, like, pissy-wissy people over there. And you never want to get on their bad side because, as I said, choosing a server is incredibly hard. They're, like, even for the more bare minimum of, how do you put this into English? Even for the bare minimum of standards, there's only a handful of servers that meet those standards, even if you're really generous with your standards. So you're kind of forced, once again, if you're forced to see a bad creature, you can't really piss on the owners of the server because then they'll kill you. So who are you gonna be angry at? Of course, the guy who made the mod. And the way these servers work, the way the game is designed from the ground, is that it's hard for people who are more amateurish to get into. And I feel like that's just the way the game works. It's like kind of a part of, like, it's nature of the game itself, right? And that's how it happens. Because, like, let's say, for example, somebody made, like, a shitty mod in, like, Minecraft, right? At worst, what they're gonna get is, like, if Lopho back in high school would probably make, like, an honest review video on it on shit on the mod. But, like, that's, like, the worst that could happen, right? Whereas with this one, where you actively had to, like, you have to see it. You have to live with it. And I think that's what pisses a lot of people off. So the way it just breeds a ground where only really the best of the best can succeed decently, right?
Into their mods, their creations, and sometimes the team as a whole. Mod Developer 3 was forwarded to me by another user and likes to remain anonymous, claiming they drifted away from a friend group before becoming a modder. And when that friend group found out again, they reached back out and things became negative. Being negative to their creations in the modding channel, something that escalated to be more aggressive messaging, and then horrible rumours about their work. Getting others to turn toxic, believing something that was potentially falsified, users then harassed that modder, sending explicit images in a bid to force them out, and a mob mentality. Ultimately making the user swap Discord accounts, start again.
Okay, maybe it's the people. Maybe it's the people. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with y'all? It's a fucking walking simulator. It's a game where you stand 3 hours in a bush. Why are you guys... Once again, why are you sending death threats about this? Like, this is not the hill to die on, guys.
Ultimately got them to quit modding before they even started. But there are some other examples as well. For example, David Rose's Capro, the most notable of...
Oh, I've seen this guy. I've seen the Capro in the server. I think we saw it when we were playing as a UT, right?
Delete the Capro mod. Then there's the Dominus incident. When it was in development, something people were quite excited for in the early days. And at that time long ago, balance was a concern. Aerial attacks, fire breath, you name it, people were concerned. And Rospor said they didn't want aerial attacks due to balance reasons, which is fair. And due to this, Rospor received hate for the dragon because of how it was balanced and not to be broken. People didn't like the lack of air attacks. And this almost led Rospor to quit. She got her...
I mean, of course, like, maybe the way they said it was bad, but... Again... A lot of people don't like it's honestly, I can kind of understand both sides. If you want a dragon, of course it's once you want to bite in the air, but of course there's the issue of balance. And once again, this brings just me to the fundamental question, why'd you even want a dragon here in this game in the first place? Because the game is clearly balanced around the fact that there isn't such thing as a dragon. So you're basically trying to do the impossible by even like suggesting to make a dragon in the first place. So at this point, like it's something that you kind of should have considered when you even started making the mod, right? Once again, this, if you make whether you make some kind of fantasy glup shido thing, or where it's a DeviantArt creation, where it's like some kind of glup shidosaurus, like at the end of the day, it's gonna be put on a server where a lot of people will play on it, and because there will be people who dislike that one creature. And because of the way the game is designed, there's really no way for that person to back off. So, like, some criticism, like, you kind of have to assume that it's gonna happen, right?
Harassed in DMs, she got sly remarks comparing her mods to others and saying how it was bad because of that. It was a messy situation. Then you got the Pachyrhinosaurus incident, which is David Rose's Pachyrhino and KTO Pachyrhino released at similar times.
Oh yeah, there were two Pachyrhino. I remember that.
People lambasted it.
I think that's the one when you saw when we were playing as the Aniosaurus, right? Like I was thinking to myself as well why there were two Pachyrhinosauruses.
Once again, like, better to wait for KTO's Pachyrhino to come out, but then escalating further. People heavily downgraded it. Comment after comment, comparison after comparison, because the two played differently. Fei Long and David Rosa eventually cancelled the mod, despite it being almost done with a TLC for it. And there's a lot of comments to show for that, which I'll have on the screen now. That leads to point out comparisons. People often instantly pit mod teams against each other for having similar dinosaur mods. David Rosa and KT.
I mean, on one hand, again, okay, of course, the way that people talk about this, right? Like, just bashing the other, just shitting on them, sending death threats, like, that's like a bad thing. But, like, this in general, I can see how it can be demotivating. But, like, I don't see how that's necessarily a bad thing. If people dislike a very specific version over another version of the same species, honestly, if I was a developer, I probably would have turned it into a different species, right? That way they could just avoid criticism altogether. But if something like this happens, and if a lot of people think one is overwhelmingly worse over the other, so the original guy quit the worst version of the dinosaur, isn't that basically just like survival of the fittest, right? People chose the ones that are better, so the worst ones disappeared. Like, isn't this like completely natural?
And there is a lot of comments to show for that, which I'll have on the screen now. That leads to point out comparisons. People often instantly
like, how is that a bad thing?
Each other for having similar dinosaur mods.
So if there's two different dinosaur mods, we have to say that both of them are good, even if one person clearly thinks the other one is superior? Like, I feel like we're allowed to point that out. I get it, a lot of people spend a hard work on tears on making the mod or creature. Heck, I put a lot of hard work and tears into making my YouTube channel. I've done this for 9 years and I just hit 9,000 subscribers. Like, I'm not fucking pissed at that. I mean, maybe I am a bit, but it's just part of life. Like, you're making content on the internet. The internet is huge. Obviously, not everyone's gonna like it. Criticism, like, shit, will happen. Like,
KTO.
It's almost weird if you think that that's not gonna happen in this world.
Compete with each other. In fact, they built their mods to synergize off each other. Some people claim mod teams purposely one-up other mod teams, and that is usually never the case. Modders are often helping out with synergizing and assisting with certain things, helping their mods be the best they can be. But the good thing here is that Addons Games stepped in. The developers were commenting on this, publicly supporting the modders for the game, which is a great thing to see. Matt himself had some stuff to say. Shout out to Matt. It's a huge positive light for the developers of the game because they are supporting modders. They've always supported modders, but they get torn down by the community. And my closing thoughts here, of course, before we get into the interview.
I mean,
Dr. Z.
Yeah. The developers want to keep the modders alive because nobody would dare to play in the official servers because they don't have passive growth. That's kind of a them issue.
11th. I just want to say, we've lost many mods before. Cerulean Island, the Utyrannus, the Sussecdorus, the Neo...
Wait, what? Wait, is the Utyrannus gone, guys? It's gone? Shit. Well then.
Venator, K23 mods. There's been many stuff exodus from the community. Usually going back to that theme of hatred, toxicity. And
again, the way that people react to the mods might have been over the top. I can kind of assume that from the comments that I've seen beforehand. But worse mods are falling off and them not being updated. That is just a natural way a game is progressed, or the mod is progressed. Worse mods fall off and die. That's natural. Like, do you seriously expect, even if there's like a bad dinosaur mod, like bad in quotations, because of course for some others it might be good, right? But if so many people hate it, right? Like, don't you guys feel it's natural if the mod gets discontinued? I don't really see how that's any like bad, right? I fail to understand this part.
And at the end of the day, how is it so hard to be nice? Everybody's human, we have feelings, and it's simple to be constructive in your criticism. Why do you have to go out of your way, and why has it become normal in this dinosaur game to be hateful?
Oh, I have a good explanation for this as well. So once again, it's the root of the game itself, right? If you take away all the glory, all the shiny and the nicey and the awesome parts about this game, right? Let's take out the cool dinosaur models. Let's take away the atmosphere and everything, right? And of course, the boring ass quests. Whatever. So, at the core, what a walking simulator is, it's a huge ass, oversized, ridiculously oversized map where you put a handful of people in, right? It's a huge ass empty map. You put like 5 people in it, right? like, what do you think is gonna happen? Right? Do you think that people are gonna be, like, cuddling each other? No! Like, I mean, no shit, the people will start, like, trying to kill each other because, like, what the fuck are you supposed to do in that situation? Like, people can will group up together if there's, like, a common threat they want to avoid. But the map is so, like, meaninglessly huge that the threat is usually, like, never a threat, if you know what I mean. There are no, like, how do you even say it? Like, in Darby, right? Have you seen the webtoon Darby? There's, like, a scene where there's, like, the bunch of, like, these really, like, bluish, like, chicky dinosaurs that swarm them and they just eat everything. They eat, like, the big carnivores, they eat the big herbivores, and they just kill everything. And, like, things like that make people, like, team up. Like, interesting events like that. But these games never they never, like, evolved this far yet. We're still in the pre-evolution form where the only thing developers know to do is just TLC a dinosaur, like, 6 times over and over again. So, like, because the game hasn't developed up to the point where people are incentivized to stick together, of course they're gonna be, like, negative to each other. Like, the game breeds, like, like, a lot of people are negative in this game because the game itself, like, they don't directly do that, but the way the game is designed, it kind of, like, incentivizes people to be negative, like, to be aggressive towards each other, because, like, what else are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna sit around a pool of water and just chat? Like, at that point, just go to Discord. Like, I feel like it's because it's at heart of the game, at the heart of the core. The reason is that there aren't a lot of things that people can do in these games, except for killing each other. And, of course, well, that would kind of make people negative to each other, especially if, for example, if you're a dinosaur, and suddenly, the only thing in the game where the only things you can do is either pick berries or kill other people. If you're suddenly faced with a fucking dragon, of course you'd be upset, right?
A pity party. We just want more constructive criticism, rather than outright toxicity and hate. Other than...
I don't know. I feel like that, like, because there's clearly people like me who, like, I don't mind the mods, like, in a literal sense. I don't care if you add in a new Glupshitosaurus to the game. Like, the modders themselves chose that. And if people quit because, if the modders quit because of criticism, well, I guess I hate to say this, but it's just survival of the fittest. People that aren't qualified, that can't, like, bring up the quality enough to the standards that people will like. Because the mod is so community driven. Because, again, it's not Skyrim or Minecraft. It's walking simulator. So worse mods will fall off and only the best remain. And even if those people get too fed up, they will leave and we'll just have no mods. Frankly saying, I'm gonna be honest, I don't see how that's a bad thing. I mean, heck, I mean, that in a sense, that kind of, for me, it removes one of the standards I have to go through looking for servers. I don't have to look for servers and hope they don't have another, like, fantasy creature mod installed, right? Like, it's just the way it works, right? Of course, sending death threats and, like, being, like, pissy to the developers on a personal level, of course that's bad. But if a mod sucks, and if a person thinks the mod sucks, right? Of course, because everything's subjective, right? So, and if they don't like the mod, and the mod developer decides to take the mod down because of it, I don't see how that's a bad thing. But you'll get less mods. How is that a bad thing?
That
we'll just get less mods, but with better quality.
Full perspective. It's quite long.
All of this blame shouldn't be going to the mod developers. It should be going to the people who made this damn game. If they made it so that single player was more bearable to play, if servers could allow more NPC dinosaurs, if playing single player, if surviving alone was actually fun, right? I'm gonna go out and say that even beginner modders won't be getting that much flack, because people will just play on their own single play servers with the mod installed. And people will just love it, just the way I play Skyrim with dinosaurs, and people dislike me for not putting Skyrim with the lore accurate things, dislike it, but we can just live together. Because this game doesn't allow that, hence they're so aggressive. This is, again, it's a fundamental problem that the game has.
Awful. They would just stop. Why is it not made by them instead? That kind of stuff. Again, for me, I can just shrug that off. But people that come into here and they want to make a difference, they want to do something new, hone their craft, it's just like, oh, well, I guess that's that, and I'm just crap at this.
Yeah, because obviously, as you've said, like, Divine Beast is a good way to get a lot of people, like new modders, involved, and is always helping with a stepping stone, so to say. I guess one of the questions I have in regards to that is, how many like new modders do you bring into the Divine Beast team?
Every modder is so friendly to each
Well,
other.
if you know that, isn't getting some criticism warranted? If you know that the people are newbies, so of course the quality isn't gonna be as good as the other people. How is that wrong to point that out?
Help each other. PT has helped me, I help them, KTO has helped me.
Okay, so I'm slowly getting the picture
So
here.
there is a lot of...
So because this is more newbie friendly, a lot of newbies come in, and of course the quality. I mean, personally, to me, I think the DB mods look awesome. Maybe it's because I don't play the game a lot. I have a life, but like for me, the mods look nice. But there's some people who think that they don't look nice. So there's gotta be some kind of like standard that they can see that I don't. So yeah, and if it's because of the developer having less like experienced people working on it, I mean, yeah, criticism is gonna happen again. How is this a bad thing? Maybe it's not exactly a good thing per se, but I mean, it's kind of to be expected, right?
Interchanged without, comments like over the last day, where it is like, oh, you want to silence critique, and it's like, no, I don't. I want to not see other modders get like, hey, your work sucks, kill yourself. Basically.
So how would you, I guess tying into that, how would you compare like criticism that is like just obviously like it's just flat criticism to constructive criticism? Because I feel like a lot of people are like, oh well, I'm being constructive, but in most cases they're kind of just saying, oh, it sucks, I hate this, this mod team or whatever, and then not offering any constructive criticism, more so just excuses to dislike.
Constructive criticism. Okay, I don't get why this is such a hill that he's dying on, right? Again, as I said again, death threats are bad. But if they just dislike something for just disliking it, how is that an issue? You're allowed to dislike things without like specifically knowing why, right? Like, I hate the Monster vs. Godzilla. I'm not quite sure why. I think the proportions are a bit off. Like, it's like a mixture of various things, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Am I not allowed to hate it? Probably not, right?
Constructively is basically...
Okay, constructive is better than regular criticism, but if I say I don't like it, I think I'm allowed to say I don't like it.
Such as like the balance issue. But this game is so... you can do so much in this game. This game has curve overrides. A server owner can literally change everything about a mod. And in my opinion, balance is a very weak statement to make against a mod. Because, for example, Doc J makes monsters, right? He wants monsters to be a certain way. Technically, they were supposed to be their own ecosystem.
And that's what he was building, yeah.
Exactly. But to then expect him to take his, as example, mammoth, and base his balance of the vanilla T-Rex and, for example, my Dinosaurus, that's not realistic. you know, we all have our own ideas. Like,
Yes, but the mod developers put both of your mods into the same server and expect it to work. I hate to say it, but they do. And that's why people hate them, because it's overpowered. For the people who play on the server, I don't think the criticism, like, it's easier for them to criticize the mod developer instead of criticizing the guy who's, like, who's making the server, because once again, you don't want to get on their bad side.
if Doc J comes to me, we're probably not going to agree about balance. If someone else comes to me, we're probably not going to agree about balance, you know?
Yeah.
And then all these mods get mashed together in the server and just expect to work perfectly.
Yeah!
You know? That is something that Rossball, for example, had. I know Doc J had it as well. I've had it in the past as well. I'm sure most of the other mod teams have had it as well. Where it's like, oh yeah, balance sucks. Like, fix your balance. It's just, but, you know, why does that warrant hate?
Because the creature is overpowered! Yes! I get it, it's made for something else! But the mod the server owner put them together, so people are gonna criticize it because it's overpowered.
That's literally a comment that I saw today on YouTube. I'm like following all of the videos now, basically.
Like, it's unfortunately, it is natural, right? I think even, heck, if I got mowed down by steamrolled by an alien, like, 6-tongued mammoth, I'd be pissed at there being a 6-tongued mammoth. And the fact that it's overpowered, then coming to the conclusion that, oh yes, I think I'm gonna go to the server owner and talk about this mammoth. Now, I think it's more easier and more direct for a lot of people that probably would think the same as I do, to go to the mod developer and say, oh yeah, your 6-tongued mammoth is maybe a bit too overpowered. In the case of Doctor, I want to say this, he didn't listen to the comments telling him his creature and most were highly unbalanced and very OP. Well, there it is! I think everyone who plays modded POT remembers the more... Okay, I don't know what that is. It could chase down crocs down in the water as a giant bird. It was so bad in some servers that only played more to stay alive and not be a lone Rex or Shrek getting ganged on by 10 giant birds. Alright, there we go. That was... we need to talk about toxicity in Path of Titans. I think the whole thing, the results, right? The thing that I end up thinking about this... Right, the result that I'm getting here is that, guys, don't send death threats. Like, why would you send death threats for a walking simulator of all things? Like, don't do that. Like, come on, guys. Okay, somebody might make an overpowered dinosaur mod. Somebody might make a mod whose mod objectively you think looks like shit. But, like, don't send them death threats for it, right? Please. I can't believe I have to, like, say this, but, like, it's not forced. Like, it's not optional. It's kind of forced. Like, it's not legally forced, but, like, it kind of is, right? I mean, you can kind of see this, because, like, look at the thing that they just said for a moment about, like, the bird. Like, why do you think that people stayed on the server and played as this modded bird instead of moving to a different server? I wonder why. I would assume it's probably because they didn't have another option to move to a different server. Like, they all had, like, either one had 2 billion rules, the other one maybe had, like, some other glupshitosaurs they didn't want to have. Like, they were kind of cornered themselves. Kinda proves it. But yes, also, just because you put a lot of time and effort into it, doesn't mean it warrants praise. Like, if you spend 12 years taking a dump, it's not gold. It's gonna be shit. Like, I know this is the harsh truth, but just because you put a lot of effort into it, doesn't mean it's gonna work out. And that goes for you too, Lopho! You suck and you know it.